Good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started. We'd like to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I'm Julia Brown, the Garrett County Manager. First, I'd like to recognize the presence of our commissioners. Dr. David Garcia, our Vice Chairman, Wayne Hancock, Commissioner Leticia Benavides. I don't see Commissioner Rawson. Am I just overlooking him? And, of course, our chairman, who you'll be hearing from in just a few minutes, Billy Garrett. Notwithstanding revenue shortfalls, vacant positions in some departments, and our recent discussions regarding the need to upgrade our employee compensation and possibly implement a gross receipts tax, the state of Doña County is positive. We're building on the successes of our past and embracing the change needed for our strong future. I want to share just a few of the highlights from 2014. The Flood Commission continues to maintain our real-time kinematic GPS network. This GPS network streams real-time kinematic survey data for surveying and mapping grade applications, which allows surveyors immediate access to the data and greatly reduces the amount of time spent in the field setting up and waiting for a satellite connection. This will continue to aid surveyors and engineers working on both county and private sector projects. A total of 250 control monuments have been set throughout the county to facilitate the transmission of that data. Last year, the county clerk's office embarked on a project to physically preserve historical records filed on the clerk's office. Phase 1 of this project included the first 5 books of marriage licenses, 417 plat records, and a variety of other records dating all the way back to 1861. Our risk management department was busy last year as well. They initiated and assisted the detention center in developing and implementing a crisis intervention training program for non-detention center employees who act at customer service counters to help improve internal and external customer interactions while also improving security. The county efforts in safety were recognized and awarded by the New Mexico Association of Counties when our risk awareness program helped attain a 22% reduction in workers' comp claims, a 14% decline in multi-line claims, 67 fewer days missed by employees because of on-the-job accidents. Not only does that bode well for employees, it helps to keep productivity high and helps our budget due to reduced insurance premiums and claims losses. Last year, among their many tasks, the engineering department reviewed 85 stormwater pollution prevention plans, reviewed more than 300 land use issues, including such things as building permits, site plans, grading plans. They reviewed and inspected the associated construction for numerous right-of-way permits, grading and subdivision permits, driveway permits, actively manage 43 engineering grants totaling almost $20 million, and assisted flood, utilities, and facilities and parks with numerous other grants. The web team implemented an application that allows those who register as users on the county website to receive via email a notification when particular new content has been added to the website. Such content includes things like meeting agendas, press releases, and other news updates. Registered users have the ability to choose which type content they would like to receive notification for. We also have a Citizens Online Police Reporting System. This online software allows citizens to report minor incidents 24 hours a day without having to wait for a deputy to be available. Reports can be submitted in various languages from any Internet-enabled PC or mobile device. Our Community Development Department created an illegal dumping no-throw app for cell phones that provides geolocation and pictures of illegal dumping sites by individual residents and visitors. Now, you may recall that 2 years ago, Ken Scholar in our Vector Control Department developed a coloring book to be used in educating youth about mosquito control and safety and insect taxonomy. Last year, we added to our toolbox when Mary Lou Ward in our Animal Control and Codes Department wrote a book entitled Desert Adventure, which features Carlos the coyote. That will be handed out at area schools during anti-dumping presentations and other community outreach activities. We have a lot going on in South County, especially the Santa Teresa area. For the first time, State of New Mexico exports to Mexico exceeded $1 billion, and Santa Teresa played a very big role in that achievement. In fact, it probably would not be an exaggeration to say that this is the emerging hotspot for development in the state right now. The Santa Teresa Industrial Park is virtually full. The opening of the Union Pacific Intermodal Rail Facility has already begun to spur growth in and around Santa Teresa. In that same area, we saw the opening of the Customs and Border Inspection Facility at the county's International Jetport, and we conducted our first annual Amigo Air Show, having successfully wooed it from El Paso. On Saturday, the first day of the show, we had attendance of about 8,000, and then the second day of the show exceeded 10,000. The second annual show has already been scheduled for October. Put it on your calendar because it's not to be missed. For the 9th consecutive year, the Center for Digital Government and the National Association of Counties, better known as NACO, has named Doña Ana County's website among the 10 best in the U.S. for counties with populations under 250,000. The biggest investment in community safety, I would have to say, is the ongoing construction of the new Mesilla Valley Regional Dispatch Authority, MRVDA. That facility will be just north of the Doña Ana County Government Center, and upon its completion, this $6 million facility will be the hub for coordinated emergency response throughout the county. It replaces a dilapidated and dangerous facility that was really never designed for a 911 center. The county's taxpayers voted to fund the project with their hard-earned money, and the facility they are building will be a model in the region. We expect it to open this summer. Doña Ana County's financial situation was much discussed last year, and I suspect it will remain a topic of frequent discussion, if not heated debate. But what should not get lost in that discussion is the excellent fashion in which the county's finances are routinely administered and protected, as evidenced by the fact that for 4 consecutive years, we have had spot-free audits conducted by outside independent agencies who reported their findings, or I should actually say lack of findings, to the state of New Mexico. Now, to put this into perspective, Doña Ana County is one of New Mexico's 4 most populated counties to receive no audit findings. The other 3 had a combined 70 findings in the same 4-year period when we had 0. Doña Ana County residents can rest easy knowing that their public funds are wisely watched over and stringently accounted for year after year. Other things were happening throughout the county last year. The city of Anthony celebrated its 4th birthday, having incorporated July 1st, 2010. You might say their birthday present to themselves was a new city hall and municipal center, a really nice facility. And for those of you who may not be aware, it's really difficult to start up a brand new government, to incorporate, to set it up, to get the operations going, and to maintain and keep it going. So we're proud that they are coming up on their 5th birthday this July. The village of Hatch, which is located just 37 miles to our north, is known by most people as the chili capital of America, but you should also know that it's famous for the Hatch Solar Energy Center, located off Highway 26 just west of town. Ammonix, Inc., a concentrated photovoltaic solar system, is powering that center, and it is the largest utility-scale concentrated photovoltaic solar plant in this continent. That is a 5-megawatt facility which is capable of generating enough electricity to supply power to about 1,300 homes a year. Our Health and Human Services Department conducted a variety of programs and activities at 6 of the county's 13 community resource centers, including Dia del Nino in Chaparral and Rincon. Also in Chaparral, we initiated a community-based substance use prevention program, conducted 2 8-hour mental health first aid classes, and 1 evidence-based 21-hour mental health training for promotoras. We had our first community health worker assigned to Chaparral, and he has facilitated a very strong men's group. This year, we'll be expanding our programmatic efforts to the other 7 community resource centers so that similar activities will be underway for all 13. Our employees gave back to the community in really meaningful ways last year, and will continue to do so in 2015. More than 70 pints of blood were donated from the rotunda here in the government center during 3 separate blood drives last year, and we have the same number scheduled for this year. For the 11th consecutive year, our Health and Human Services Department coordinated winter celebrations at community resource centers, where more than 500 gifts were given to underprivileged children. And during the summer months, they coordinated the provision of more than 10,000 healthy meals for children across the county. Our employees came through in a big way last year for a blanket and coat drive sponsored by the city of Las Cruces. In fact, Doña Ana County beat out every other participating entity with the number of coats and blankets donated, and they showed similar community commitment with a back-to-school drive coordinated with the Gadsden and Hatch Public Schools. Last year, we also launched a social media presence on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, thereby giving more people access to news and events hosted by or coordinated by the county staff and our partners in other agencies. The response was instantaneously positive, and the social media component of our outreach initiative continues to thrive and grow. In fact, I'm going to brag on another county employee, our social media coordinator, Corey Stone-Fielder. During the snowstorm in January, when we actually had to shut down county operations for a day, she got several thousand new followers on Twitter on that single day because she was so quick in posting information about closures, dangerous road conditions, and other situations that more people came to our website to follow and keep up with her tweets and her blog than went to the Weather Service and any other site in the county. There is one low point from last year that I feel I must touch on, and that was the action by the county treasurer, David Gutierrez, which led to his censure by the Board of County Commissioners and their call for his resignation, a call which, unfortunately, he has not heeded. As you may know, the Board of County Commissioners is not empowered by law to remove another elected official. The most they are allowed to do when an elected official violates the county code of conduct, as the treasurer did, is to censure them. This they did swiftly, with language which was clear, forceful, and direct in its condemnation of the despicable act which he performed. Some may wonder why I continue to raise this issue in various public speaking events. It's because day in and day out, our hard-working staff dedicate themselves to professionalism and customer service while ensuring that each department is responsive to the needs of every resident. They are a proud and good team whose individual members work hard to advance the interests of the taxpayers of this county. At the very foundation of our ability as a government to carry out our mission and provide quality service are our employees. Some years ago, this county developed a reputation for not valuing its employees. There were formal complaints and lawsuits. We've worked extremely hard to shed that mantle, paying close attention to diversity, policies and procedures which don't trample on employees' civil or constitutional rights, requiring training in the areas of discrimination and sexual harassment, taking quick and decisive action against those who violate the county's human resources policies and or the law. And so I continue to speak about this because we cannot and will not stand by silently in the face of reckless, inappropriate, unethical, and callous acts of the treasurer or any other individual associated with county government to put our employees in harm's way, bring dishonor on the county, or hinder us from carrying out our lawful mission. And I'm going to call on the chairman now to do his piece of the presentation, and if we have any time left at the end, I'm sure we'll take questions.
Elected officials, honored guests, and residents of Doña Ana County, thank you for being with us this afternoon. As the Commission Chair, I have the honor of sharing with you some thoughts about the condition of county government and our county as a whole. My personal assessment is that Doña Ana County government is in good shape and moving in the right direction. You just heard a summary of accomplishments from last year. All of this work and more was done for just one reason: to enhance the health, safety, and quality of life for our residents. That's the heart of the county's mission statement. The statement goes on to say that county programs must be grounded in law, responsive to community interests, and carried out using innovative leadership and teamwork in a fair, respectful, and professional manner. I know that many of you have been concerned with the county's budget, program accountability, and workplace environment. I share those concerns. I can also say that progress is being made on these and other important issues. With respect to the budget, projections for revenues and expenditures have become much more realistic, and reliance on reserves has dropped significantly. In fact, the county saved more than $4 million in the last fiscal year. As for accountability, we're in the final stages of completing a strategic plan that will allow everyone to easily understand what the county is working on, why, and how we're doing. And finally, we're making sure that employees are respected and appreciated, treated fairly and appropriately compensated. County government should be a good place to work for people who want to work in public service. These changes are a credit to the county's department heads, including those who are elected officials. Their engagement is essential to our long-term improvement. I would also like to recognize Assistant County Manager Chuck McMahon for his many contributions and professionalism. And I would like to thank Julia Brown who in her first year as county manager has led the way with a firm hand, a caring heart, and a smile. Let's turn now to Doñana County as a whole. The best way I know to describe our situation is that we're getting by. Getting by can mean there's just enough water for the crops, or we've got just enough in the bank to cover the bills. Getting by means being thankful for the good and carrying on through the bad. It means being hopeful, but not overly optimistic. That's the way it is for lots of people in Doñana County. Most of us are here because of friends and family, a modest cost of living, and an easygoing lifestyle. We like having a choice of communities to call home, and we connect deeply with the natural beauty and multicultural heritage of this special place. On the other hand, we know that New Mexico is still struggling to come out of the recession, has a population growth that is essentially flat, and that ranks next to last of all states for having the conditions children need to be successful. In Doñana County, our per capita income is nearly 30% less than the national figure. More than a quarter of our neighbors live in poverty, and domestic abuse impacts thousands of families. Getting by may be okay, but it really isn't good enough. On March 24th, the County Commission will decide whether or not to increase our gross receipts tax, and if so, by how much. This decision will change the condition of Doñana County, one way or another. As I've said, county government is in reasonably good shape. We've been able to carry out our functions within available funds and in a responsible way. Most of our facilities are in fairly good condition, and we've been able to put away some savings. On the other hand, the county pays most of its employees well below the market rate. A number of critical management systems are not in place, and dozens of essential positions are vacant. Maintenance backlogs lie just over the horizon, as do rising costs for employee benefits. I am deeply concerned with the capacity of the county to deal with existing shortcomings and pending demands, much less things we cannot anticipate. I do not question the willingness of our employees or managers to do what needs to be done. However, I do not believe the county has the resources needed to make rapid and significant adjustments without a reduction in service levels. Simply put, county government is doing okay, but can't do much more than it already is without increased capacity. Even an increase in efficiency would require some investment to put new systems in place. County government is in much the same situation as the people we serve. We've got enough to get on, but not much more. This is a serious problem. County workers, the state and federal government, dozens of nonprofits, and the business community are all doing what we can with what we have to strengthen our communities, increase economic possibilities, and expand the choices available to our children. But it is not enough. The full 0.3% gross receipts tax authorized by hold harmless state legislation would generate about $12 million a year in new public revenue for Doñana County. This tax increase could fundamentally improve our situation if the funds are focused without exception on capital improvements, economic development, and expanding the capacity of county operations. I would go further and argue that if the funds are made available, they should be divided up annually along the following lines. Not less than $10 million for capital projects like roads and utilities, flood management, affordable housing, and public facilities. Approximately $1.25 million for economic development programs, and not more than $750,000 for upgrades in county operations. Over the next 4 years, this distribution would pump $40 million into infrastructure, $5 million into economic development, and $3 million into expanded capacity for county government. Looked at this way, the Hold Harmless GRT provides a way for residents and businesses to invest in the kinds of change that will make a real difference in their lives. Why wait when we can jumpstart our own future? To reinforce this objective, 3 conditions should be applied to the capital allocation. First, every effort should be made to use these funds in conjunction with other state, federal, and local funds. Second, some portion of the projects should be undertaken in partnership with incorporated areas of the county. And third, priority should be given to projects that are either essential to large-scale economic development, like Santa Teresa, or that address critical health and safety issues. While investing in the right capital projects will help stimulate business development, significant economic growth will only be possible if we find ways to streamline permits, coordinate development, and improve intergovernmental coordination. That's why funding of economic development programs is needed in addition to the capital projects. By economic development programs, I mean workforce enhancement, follow-up on the Viva Doñana Regional Planning Initiative, and micro-enterprise support. I am also referring to the seed money needed to start up a county-wide public transportation system. Many of those who did not support the public transportation referendum last fall said they felt the proposal was too much too soon. Restraint is needed, but progress as well. A small allocation from the Hold Harmless GRT would leverage state and federal transportation grants, stimulate contributions from private sector partners, and complement funds that have already been provided by state legislators. Public transportation is an essential part of any good business development strategy for Doñana County. The third and smallest of my proposed GRT allocations is dedicated to upgrades in county operations. Asset management plans should be the highest priority for these funds. Dedicating all of the Hold Harmless GRT to infrastructure development, economic development, and operational efficiency means that alternative solutions must be found for other budget issues. Chief among these are vehicle replacement and employee pay rates. One way to deal with the vehicle backlog is to pay for replacements out of existing reserves. An increased compensation could be addressed by moving toward a smaller, more efficient workforce. By smaller, I mean a workforce that is fewer in number than the current list of authorized positions while still being able to meet essential functions. Raising taxes, even a little, is a serious matter. I understand this. I would not support such an action unless I felt it was the only way to improve our chances of getting beyond getting by. Three primary arguments have been raised against county use of the hold harmless GRT. First, some feel it is unfair for the poor and those on fixed incomes. While there is truth in this, it is also true that these same people could benefit from the changes paid for by a GRT increase. And without this tax, it is hard to see how the changes they deserve are likely to happen. Second, some see the tax as a drag on the profitability of local business. It is true that local businesses generate jobs and do, over time, provide some of the revenue needed for public programs. It is also true that businesses are not going to grow without improvements in infrastructure, expanded public services, and better coordination of development. This kind of work is the responsibility of government, not business. Failure to make essential investments in the public sector right now, while we can, seriously limits the potential for future development of the private sector. The third argument against use of the hold harmless GRT is, as some people say, we're taxed enough already. Although the facts may not be any consolation, let me put the county's revenue situation in perspective. Everyone who lives in Doña Ana County is subject to three primary types of state and local taxes: income taxes, property taxes, and gross receipts taxes. Income tax paid to the state of New Mexico has no direct relationship with funding received by the county. On the other hand, roughly 36% of all property taxes collected in Doña Ana County are used to support county government. As for the GRT, the county receives 70 cents for every $5.31 that goes to the state. For GRT collected in Las Cruces, the county share is roughly one-third of the amount received by the city. Enacting the hold harmless GRT of 0.3% would raise the county's portion of GRT in Las Cruces from about 9% of the total to 12.8% of the total. Since 2010, county revenues have averaged about $117 million per year. Of that amount, property taxes make up about 31% of the county's total revenue, while GRT has contributed about 25%. The rest of the county's annual funding base is made up of grants, fees and service charges, and other forms of revenue. Of all the taxes paid by residents and businesses in Doña Ana County, only a small portion goes to support county government. Doña Ana County is at a crossroads. We can make it with the status quo and hope that conditions are right for our economy to turn around. If we do so, we must also ask residents to hang on for just a little bit longer with poor roads, exposure to flooding, limited housing and transportation options, and bleak employment possibilities. Or we can make the harder choice of having everyone contribute just a little toward the work that is most likely to change our future. Broadly speaking, government exists to protect health and safety, to ensure that people are treated justly, and to promote our sense of unity, to advance the general welfare. Hundreds of millions of public dollars are required for all the work that is needed in this county. We can reasonably expect that some funds will come from state appropriations and federal grants, and we can hope that a rising economy will expand the tax base and our ability to address public services. Unfortunately, the public investments needed to expand our economy must be made now. Hypothetical tax revenues generated by a bump in economic activity simply will not happen without the investments needed to create the bump. Even with additional revenue from the Hold Harmless GRT, county funds will be tight. Leveraging other financial sources, setting good priorities, and efficiently managing our work will be essential. Most of the people I know in Doñana County are not the kind to shy away from a pressing problem. They're willing to do their part, even sacrifice if necessary, so long as everyone contributes their fair share and there's a good plan to follow. My hope is that we'll follow their lead. Next year, we'll gather again to consider the condition of Doñana County. Will we still be stuck with the status quo? Or will we change the situation with a significant infusion of our own money? Getting by or getting on with it? Which will it be? Thank you. I think I don't know. Thank you. It's getting close to 1. We'd be available to talk, or how do you want to do this?
There may be a couple of other people who we should recognize.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Probate judges here.
Yeah, we wanted to get into this and get it done, but I'd like to recognize Mayor Barraza. Mayor Perea was here. There he is, still here. We've got probate judge Bustamante, former commissioner and commission chair, Mr. Oscar Vasquez Butler. Who else have we got? Oh, former Mayor Pro Tem, Sharon Thomas from the city. Mr. Doolin, Paul, from Spaceport, right? Thank you. We've got our deputy. Yeah, there's Stephanie. Names. Hi, Steph. You're the trustee with Messia. Thank you for being here. We've got our chief deputy clerk, Scott Kraling, former commissioner here, as well as Paul, from the deputy from the assessor's office. Is the sheriff here? Oh, there he is. There's Sheriff Vigil. And the undersheriff, is he here? Oh, there he is. Okay. Yeah. Very good. So we've got lots of dignitaries. We've got former Mayor Matisse. Thank you for being here. And, of course, you've got an important job right now with the Board Authority. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much for coming today. Thank you all for coming today. We decided to sort of tag team this thing, and I didn't know what she was going to say, and she didn't know what I was going to say, so you heard what we said. But you heard it from the heart, and you heard the kind of work that we're doing here in Doñana County. Thank you very much again.
And if there are no questions, then again, we thank you for coming, and we'll let you get on with your day.